Grab your pickles and mayo, folks. We've got a man-sized sandwich situation. Meet Tim. Tim loves sandwiches more than anyone you know. One day, while trying to make the ultimate sandwich, he got a little carried away. Picture this. Tim's in his kitchen, stacking layers of turkey, cheese, lettuce, and all the fixings. But in a moment of sheer culinary enthusiasm, he thought, what if I could be the sandwich? So what does he do? He grabs 2 giant loaves of bread and slides right in between them. And just like that, Tim became the world's first human hoagie. Now, this might seem like a dream come true for a sandwich lover, but reality hit fast. He couldn't move. His arms were pinned by the lettuce, his legs trapped by the tomato slices. It was a deli dilemma. His dog Sparky wandered in, sniffed around and gave the best "You okay, bro? Look a dog could muster." Tim realized he needed help, but how do you call for backup when you're literally in a pickle? Luckily, his neighbor heard the commotion and came to the rescue, but instead of helping, the neighbor took a big bite, and Tim went sliding down a chute. So next time you make a sandwich, remember, enjoy it, but maybe don't try to become it, or you might just get eaten by your own creation. Tim found himself sliding down a dark, squishy tunnel. It was the digestive system. He could feel the walls moving, pushing him along. This is not what I signed up for, he thought. As he traveled deeper, he encountered strange sounds and smells. It was a wild ride through the stomach and intestines, the gurgling, the churning. It was like a roller coaster he'd never wanted to ride again. Tim tried to brace himself, but the relentless movement had him tumbling and turning in every direction. The acidic environment of the stomach was the worst part. He could feel the heat and the pressure, making him wish he had just stuck to a simple sandwich recipe. Finally, he saw a light at the end of the tunnel. He was about to be, well, you know. As he approached the exit, a sense of relief washed over him. Tim vowed never to become a sandwich again. And so our story comes to an end with a valuable lesson. Love your food, but maybe don't try to become it, or you might just end up on the craziest ride of your life. And remember, Tim's friend Theo once had a similar adventure in his stomach. So be careful with your food choices. Tim found himself in a brightly lit bathroom, surrounded by other people who were equally confused. How did we all end up here? Someone asked. Tim shrugged, still trying to process his wild journey. The bathroom was bustling with chatter and laughter as everyone shared their bizarre stories. Tim realized he wasn't alone in his strange adventure. They all had one thing in common, a love for food that went a bit too far. As they washed their hands and prepared to leave, Tim couldn't help but laugh. "Well, that was one for the books," he said. And with that, they all went their separate ways, vowing to enjoy their food without becoming it. Just like a Fortnite character getting flushed down the toilet, they had been transported to a new reality. The bathroom floor had opened up, and everyone was quickly flushed down the toilet. As they swirled down the vortex, they were met with an unexpected sight. Johnsy from Fortnite was cranking 90s, building structures at lightning speed. The chaos of their situation blended seamlessly with the fast-paced action of Fortnite, creating a surreal spectacle. Johnsy, completely unfazed by the swirling water, continued to build, his movements fluid and precise. The group, on the other hand, were bewildered, their eyes wide with disbelief. They could hardly process what was happening as they were swept away by the current. Finally, they landed with a thud in a new, strange world. The colors were vibrant, the landscape a mix of familiar and fantastical elements. They had been transported to a Fortnite match. The group looked at each other, confusion and determination etched on their faces. They decided to stick together, knowing that survival in this new challenge would require teamwork and quick thinking. As they navigated this wild new world, they couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of their situation. Their love for food had taken them on a bizarre adventure, but now it was time to face the chaos of Fortnite. With Johnsy as their silent guide, they set off into the unknown, ready to build, fight, and survive. Stay tuned for the next chapter of Tim's digestive adventure, where the unexpected becomes the norm, and every twist and turn leads to a new, thrilling challenge. In the midst of the Fortnite chaos, one of Tim's teammates, Alex, got separated from the group. The vibrant landscape and the relentless action made it easy to lose track of each other. As they tried to regroup, Alex was ambushed by an enemy player. The team watched in horror as Alex fought valiantly, building structures and defending with all their might. Just when all seemed lost, Jonesy appeared, lending his skills to help the team. With Jonesy's help, they managed to fend off the enemy, but the battle was far from over. They decided to rotate to Lost Lake, hoping the new location would give them a strategic advantage. Despite their best efforts, the enemy's relentless attacks proved too much. Alex was eliminated. The team was devastated, their hearts heavy with the loss of their friend. But they knew they had to keep moving. The stakes in this new world were high, and survival meant pushing forward despite the setbacks. They vowed to win the match in Alex's honor, their determination renewed by the harsh reminder of the stakes. With Jonesy still leading the way, they pressed on, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Stay tuned for the next chapter of Tim's digestive adventure, where the bonds of friendship are tested and every battle is fought with unwavering resolve. In the aftermath of Alex's elimination, the battlefield was eerily quiet. Jonesy knew what had to be done. He had to retrieve Alex's reboot card. The entire team held their breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on them like a heavy fog. Jonesy moved with precision, every step calculated, every movement deliberate. The enemy could be lurking around any corner, ready to pounce. The music swelled with suspense, a somber undertone reflecting the gravity of the situation. As Jonesy approached the spot where Alex had fallen, the tension was palpable. He could almost feel the eyes of the enemy watching him. The landscape was a maze of obstacles, each one a potential hiding spot for an adversary. With a swift motion, Jonesy grabbed the reboot card. The team exhaled collectively, but the danger was far from over. Now they had to make it to Lost Lake. The journey was fraught with peril, the enemy's presence a constant threat. The music became more intense, each beat mirroring Jonesy's heartbeat. He darted from cover to cover, the weight of the card in his hand a stark reminder of what was at stake. The team's eyes were glued to the screen, their hearts pounding in unison with Jonesy's rapid footsteps. Finally, Lost Lake came into view. Jonesy made a dash for it, the enemy hot on his heels. With a final burst of speed, he reached the lake and found the Typhoon Blade. Nearby, he spotted a reboot van, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. The team erupted in cheers, their spirits lifted. They had managed to bring Alex back, a small victory in the face of overwhelming odds. But the battle was not over. They knew they had to keep fighting, their resolve stronger than ever. Stay tuned for the next chapter of Tim's digestive adventure, where every moment is a test of courage, and the bonds of friendship shine brightest in the darkest of times. With Alex successfully rebooted, the team gathered their strength and prepared for the final showdown. The battlefield was a flurry of activity, each team member playing their part with unwavering determination. As the enemy forces closed in, Ninja and Jonesy led the charge, their movements a symphony of skill and strategy. The music swelled with triumphant notes, the rhythm of victory in the air. Every shot, every maneuver was executed with precision. The enemy was relentless, but the team was unstoppable. They fought with a unity that could not be broken, their bond forged in the fires of countless battles. The music reached a crescendo as the last enemy fell, and the battlefield falling silent once more. The team stood victorious, the weight of their journey lifting as they realized they had won. Ninja and Jonesy exchanged a nod, a silent acknowledgement of the trials they had overcome. The team celebrated their victory, their laughter and cheers filling the air. The music shifted to an upbeat, celebratory tune, reflecting the joy and relief that washed over them. As they returned to Earth, the horizon of new adventures stretched out before them. They knew that their journey was far from over, but for now they basked in the glow of their hard-earned triumph. The future was bright, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. Stay tuned for the next chapter of Tim's digestive adventure, where every moment is a test of courage, and the bonds of friendship shine brightest in the darkest of times. As the dust settled on the battlefield, the team took a moment to catch their breath. The victory was sweet, but now it was time for the journey home. Tim, Ninja, Jonesy and Alex gathered their gear and began the trek back to their ship. The triumphant music from their victory had faded, replaced by a more mellow, reflective tune that underscored the weight of their journey. Tim led the way, his mind racing with thoughts of Earth. It had been a long, arduous adventure, but the lessons learned and bonds formed were invaluable. Ninja walked beside him, his usual stoic demeanor softened by a rare smile. Jonesy and Alex followed closely, their camaraderie evident in every step. As they boarded the ship, the mood shifted from reflective to hopeful. The engines roared to life, and the team settled into their seats. The stars outside the windows blurred into streaks of light as they made the jump back to Earth. The music swelled with an uplifting melody, mirroring the anticipation and relief that filled the cabin. The ship touched down on familiar soil, and the team disembarked. The air was crisp, the sky a brilliant blue. Earth had never looked so beautiful. Tim took a deep breath, savoring the moment. Ninja, Jonesy and Alex stood by his side, their eyes scanning the horizon. "Welcome home," Tim said, his voice filled with gratitude. Ninja nodded, his eyes meeting Tim's. "We did it," Jonesy grinned, clapping a hand on Tim's shoulder. "Together?" Alex looked around, her expression one of awe and contentment. "It's good to be back." The team walked towards their next adventure, their spirits high and their hearts full. They knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, stronger than ever before. Stay tuned for the next chapter of Tim's digestive adventure, where every moment is a test of courage, and the bonds of friendship shine brightest in the darkest of times. Just as Tim and his friends were soaking in the relief of their return, an unexpected twist awaited them. Out of nowhere, the ground beneath them gave way, and they found themselves plummeting into a giant sandwich. The scene was a chaotic, colourful whirlwind of ingredients. Lettuce leaves flapped around like wings, juicy tomatoes bounced off their heads, and slices of cheese slid past them like slippery slides. The music shifted to an upbeat, whimsical tune, perfectly capturing the hilarity of the moment. Tim landed on a soft bed of bread, his eyes wide with surprise. "What just happened?" he exclaimed, trying to get his bearings. Ninja, not missing a beat, picked up a slice of turkey that had fallen on his head. I think we're in someone's lunch," he said with a chuckle. Jonesy and Alex were rolling with laughter, covered in mustard and mayo. "This is insane!" Alex shouted, dodging a flying pickle. Despite the absurdity of the situation, the team's camaraderie shone through. They helped each other up, brushing off crumbs and laughing at the sheer ridiculousness of it all. Tim even found himself smiling, the stress of their previous adventures melting away in the face of this unexpected fun. As they navigated their way through the giant sandwich, the music swelled with playful, lively notes. Suddenly, a giant cartoon character appeared and began to eat the sandwich with Tim and his friends inside. Stay tuned for the next chapter of Tim's digestive adventure, where surprises lurk around every corner, and laughter is the best seasoning for any challenge. As they walked away, Tim suddenly remembered something significant from their adventure, something that could change everything. Still reeling from their unexpected plunge into the giant sandwich, Tim and his friends soon found themselves in an even more bizarre landscape, a whimsical land of giant food items. Everywhere they looked, there were towering cupcakes, enormous candy canes, and colossal cookies. The air was filled with the sweet scent of chocolate and vanilla, making the entire scene feel like a dream. "Where are we now?" Tim asked, his eyes wide with wonder. "This must be the whimsical food land," Ninja replied, marveling at a giant marshmallow mountain in the distance. Their journey through this peculiar land was nothing short of an adventure. They had to navigate through a maze of oversized snacks, each turn presenting a new hilarious challenge. At one point, they found themselves climbing a spaghetti mountain with meatballs rolling down like boulders. "Watch out!" Jonesy shouted, narrowly dodging a giant meatball. Amidst the laughter and the chaos, they encountered quirky characters. A giant talking gummy bear offered them directions, while a dancing donut performed an impromptu jig, providing some much-needed comic relief. "Thank you, Mr. Gummy Bear," Alex said, trying to keep a straight face. The challenges were as humorous as they were unpredictable. They had to cross a river of milk by hopping on floating cereal pieces and navigate through a popcorn forest where kernels popped into the air like fireworks. Despite the absurdity, their camaraderie remained strong. They helped each other through each obstacle, their laughter echoing through the whimsical landscape. Finally, as they reached the edge of the whimsical food land, they saw a portal shimmering in the distance. "That must be our way home!" Tim exclaimed, a mix of relief and excitement in his voice. As they approached the portal, the music swelled with playful, adventurous notes, signaling the end of yet another extraordinary chapter in their journey. Little did they know, the biggest surprise was yet to come. Stay tuned for the next chapter of Tim's digestive adventure, where the portal leads them inside Theo's sandwich, promising even more unexpected twists and turns. As Tim and his friends stepped through the shimmering portal, they were instantly plunged into darkness. The whimsical noises of the foodland faded behind them, replaced by an unsettling silence. "Where are we now?" Tim's voice echoed, tinged with fear. A dim, eerie glow began to illuminate their surroundings, revealing a strange, moist cavern. The walls glistened with saliva, and the air was thick with an unsettling humidity. This can't be," Alex stammered, her eyes wide with horror. Suddenly, a low rumble filled the cavern, followed by a deafening sound of chewing. "Oh no," Ninja whispered, "we're inside Theo's mouth." The realization hit them all at once. They were standing on Theo's tongue, surrounded by towering teeth that threatened to crush them at any moment. The scene was filled with suspenseful and eerie music, amplifying their sense of dread. "We need to get out of here now!" Jonesy shouted, his voice barely audible over the cacophony of chewing and swallowing. They began to run, slipping on the slick surface of the tongue, desperately searching for an escape route. The cavern walls shifted and moved, Theo's mouth constantly in motion. They dodged streams of saliva and narrowly avoided being caught between grinding teeth. "This is insane!" Tim yelled, his heart pounding in his chest. In the distance, they saw a faint light, a glimmer of hope. "There," Alex pointed. "That must be the way out." They sprinted towards the light, their every step filled with urgency and fear. As they reached the light, they realized it was Theo's throat, leading to an even darker abyss. "We have to jump," Ninja declared, his voice resolute. With no time to hesitate, they leaped into the unknown, hoping for the best. The scene ended with the characters falling into darkness, their fate uncertain. The suspenseful music reached a crescendo, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats. Stay tuned to find out what happens next in Tim's digestive adventure. As Tim and his friends plummeted into the darkness, their screams echoed through Theo's throat. The descent seemed endless, but finally they landed with a splash in a vast, bubbling pool of stomach acid. "Is everyone okay?" Tim gasped, struggling to keep his head above the churning liquid. "Define okay," Jonesy muttered, wiping acid from his face. The cavernous stomach was an eerie, pulsating chamber, its walls lined with undulating muscles and oozing with digestive enzymes. The air was thick with the acrid smell of acid and partially digested food. "We need to find a way out before we dissolve," Alex said, her voice trembling with urgency. They began to swim through the acidic pool, dodging floating chunks of food and avoiding the powerful contractions of the stomach walls. In the distance, they spotted a large, partially digested sandwich, one that looked eerily familiar. "Is that—" Tim started, but before he could finish, the sandwich began to move. From within it emerged a figure, drenched in acid, but unmistakably human. "It's Theo!" Ninja exclaimed. "He's alive!" Theo, weak but conscious, waved them over. "I don't know how much longer I can hold on," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "The acid is too strong." "We're getting you out of here," Tim declared. "But how?" Just then, a loud, gurgling sound filled the chamber. The stomach walls began to contract violently, signaling an impending digestion wave. "We need to climb!" Alex shouted, pointing to the writhing walls. Using every ounce of their strength, they began to scale the slippery, undulating walls of Theo's stomach. The ground beneath them trembled, and the acid level began to rise, threatening to engulf them. "We're almost there!" Jonesy yelled as they reached a narrow opening at the top of the stomach. With one final push, they squeezed through the opening, tumbling into Theo's esophagus. The scene ended with the characters clinging to the sides of the esophagus, exhausted but determined. The dramatic music swelled, promising more perilous adventures ahead. Stay tuned to see if Tim and his friends can navigate their way out of Theo's digestive system in the next episode of Tim's Digestive Adventure. As Tim, Alex, Jonesy and Ninja brushed themselves off, their laughter slowly subsided. They looked around, taking in their new surroundings. The air was thick with an unpleasant odor, and the sound of dripping water echoed around them. The walls were grimy and the floor was slick with a mysterious foul substance. "Where are we now?" Alex asked, wrinkling her nose in disgust. Tim glanced around, his eyes widening in realization. "I think we're in a toilet," he said, his voice tinged with horror. Jonesy groaned, his face contorting with disgust. "Seriously? We just escaped the butt and now we're in a toilet?" Ninja took a cautious step forward, his foot splashing in a puddle. "We need to find a way out of here, and fast," he said, his voice urgent. The group moved cautiously through the stinky, dimly lit space, their senses on high alert. Every step was accompanied by the squelch of their shoes on the wet floor, and the sound of dripping water seemed to grow louder with each passing second. "Look," Alex said, pointing to a small window high up on the wall. "That might be our way out." Tim nodded, determination in his eyes. "Let's go." They made their way toward the window, their progress slow and arduous. The smell was almost unbearable, and the air was thick with humidity. As they reached the base of the wall, Tim looked up at the window, his face set with resolve. "We'll have to climb," he said, his voice steady. "It's our only chance." One by one, they began to climb the grimy wall, their hands slipping on the wet surface. The tension was palpable, but they pressed on, driven by the desperate need to escape the stinky toilet. As they neared the window, the sound of rushing water filled the air. Tim glanced down, his eyes widening in alarm. "Hurry! The toilet's flushing!" With a final determined effort, they reached the window and pulled themselves through, just as the water began to rise below them. They tumbled out onto the ground outside, gasping for fresh air. "We made it!" Jonesy said, his voice filled with relief. Ninja nodded, a smile breaking across his face. "And we never have to go back." The camera panned out, showing the group standing together, their faces filled with relief and a newfound sense of camaraderie. The suspenseful music faded, signaling the end of their stinky toilet adventure. What new challenges await them? Stay tuned for the next episode of Tim's Digestive Adventure. As Tim, Alex, Jonesy and Ninja brushed themselves off, their laughter slowly subsided. They looked around, taking in their new surroundings. The air was thick with an unpleasant odor, and the sound of dripping water echoed around them. The walls were grimy and the floor was slick with a mysterious foul substance. "Where are we now?" Alex asked, wrinkling her nose in disgust. Tim glanced around, his eyes widening in realization. "I think we're in a toilet," he said, his voice tinged with horror. Jonesy groaned, his face contorting with disgust. "Seriously? We just escaped the butt and now we're in a toilet?" Ninja took a cautious step forward, his foot splashing in a puddle. "We need to find a way out of here, and fast," he said, his voice urgent. The group moved cautiously through the stinky, dimly lit space, their senses on high alert. Every step was accompanied by the squelch of their shoes on the wet floor, and the sound of dripping water seemed to grow louder with each passing second. "Look," Alex said, pointing to a small window high up on the wall. "That might be our way out." Tim nodded, determination in his eyes. "Let's go." They made their way toward the window, their progress slow and arduous. The smell was almost unbearable, and the air was thick with humidity. As they reached the base of the wall, Tim looked up at the window, his face set with resolve. "We'll have to climb," he said, his voice steady. "It's our only chance." One by one, they began to climb the grimy wall, their hands slipping on the wet surface. The tension was palpable, but they pressed on, driven by the desperate need to escape the stinky toilet. As they neared the window, the sound of rushing water filled the air. Tim glanced down, his eyes widening in alarm. "Hurry! The toilet's flushing!" With a final determined effort, they reached the window and pulled themselves through, just as the water began to rise below them. They tumbled out onto the ground outside, gasping for fresh air. "We made it!" Jonesy said, his voice filled with relief. Ninja nodded, a smile breaking across his face. "And we never have to go back." The camera panned out, showing the group standing together, their faces filled with relief and a newfound sense of camaraderie. The suspenseful music faded, signaling the end of their stinky toilet adventure. What new challenges await them? Stay tuned for the next episode of Tim's Digestive Adventure. As the group tumbled out of the window, they found themselves on a narrow ledge overlooking a massive, swirling vortex of water. The sound of the flushing toilet roared like a waterfall, echoing off the walls of the cavernous space. Tim looked around, his eyes wide with a mix of relief and dread. "We made it out of the toilet, but where are we now?" Alex peered over the edge, her face pale. "I think we're in the toilet drain." Jonesy let out a groan of frustration. "We just can't catch a break, can we?" Ninja stepped forward, his eyes scanning the surroundings. "We need to find a way to navigate this drain and get out of here." Tim nodded, his face set with determination. "Agreed. Let's stick together and move quickly." The group carefully edged their way along the slippery ledge, the sound of rushing water growing louder with each step. The air was thick with humidity, and the walls glistened with moisture. Suddenly the ledge gave way beneath Jonesy's feet. He let out a startled cry as he slipped and began to slide toward the vortex. Without hesitation, Ninja reached out and grabbed his arm, pulling him back to safety. "Thanks, man," Jonesy said, his voice shaky. Ninja nodded, his grip firm. "No problem. Let's keep moving." They continued their precarious journey, their senses on high alert. Every step was a test of balance and courage, but they pressed on, driven by the hope of escape. As they neared the center of the drain, the swirling water became more violent, threatening to pull them in. Tim looked around. Their bodies straining against the pull of the vortex. It was a fight for survival, and every second felt like an eternity. Finally, the water began to recede, the force of the current weakening. Tim let out a sigh of relief, his grip on the pipe relaxing slightly. "We're almost through this," he said, his voice filled with hope. As the water continued to drain, the group slowly made their way to a safer, more stable ledge. They collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath and drenched from head to toe. "We did it!" Digestive adventure. Narrator. The group had barely survived the harrowing journey through the toilet drain, and now they found themselves standing on the edge of a massive sink. The walls were slick with moisture, and the sound of dripping water echoed around them. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. Tim, "All right, team, we need to figure out what just happened. Stay close and keep your eyes peeled for anything unusual." Narrator. The group began to make their way down the sink, each step more precarious than the last. The path was narrow and winding, and the sound of distant echoes and the occasional scurrying of unseen creatures added to the tension. "Alex, this place gives me the creeps." Jonesy. "Yeah, it's like something out of a horror movie." Narrator. Ninja took the lead, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. The path grew narrower and darker with each step, and the suspenseful music built, creating a sense of impending danger. Tim, "Which way do we go?" Ninja. "This way. It looks like there are fewer footprints that way. Maybe it's less traveled." Narrator. They followed Ninja's lead, the path growing narrower and darker with each step. The suspenseful music built, creating a sense of impending danger. Just as they began to relax, thinking they might be on the right path, a loud clanking noise echoed through the sink. "Alex, what was that?" Jonesy. "I don't know, but I don't want to find out." Tim. "We have to keep moving. Whatever it is, we can't let it stop us." Narrator. The group pressed on, their senses on high alert. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a rusty old gate blocking their path. Tim. "Great, now what?" Ninja. "There has to be a way to open it. Look for a lever or a switch." Cut to a close-up of Alex finding a hidden lever behind a loose brick and pulling it. The gate creaks open, revealing another dark tunnel beyond. Tim. "Good job, Alex. Let's keep moving." Narrator. The group stepped through the gate, the suspenseful music fading slightly but still present, hinting at the challenges yet to come. They continued their journey through the eerie sewers, their determination unwavering. Cut to a wide shot of the group climbing a ladder leading to the city above. The camera follows them as they reach the top and tumble into a hole, landing in a colourful, strange new world, the BFDR universe. Narrator. But just as they thought they had escaped, the ground gave way, and they tumbled into a hole, landing in a colourful, strange new world. Bewildered, they looked around, realising their adventure had only just begun. As the group slowly woke up, they found themselves on the stable ledge of a sink, the reality of their situation beginning to sink in. They had escaped the immediate danger of the toilet drain, but now they realized it was all just a dream. Tim stood up, brushing himself off. "All right, team, we need to figure out what just happened. Stay close and keep your eyes peeled for anything unusual." The camera cuts to the group as they look around the sink, trying to make sense of their surroundings. The walls are slick with moisture, and the sound of dripping water echoes around them. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. Alex shivers, wrapping her arms around herself. "This place gives me the creeps," she admits, her voice barely above a whisper. Jonesy nods, his eyes darting around nervously. "Yeah, it's like something out of a horror movie." Ninja takes the lead, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. "Stay focused. We need to find a way out before we run into any more trouble." As they move deeper into the sink, the surroundings become more complex and winding. The sound of distant echoes and the occasional scurrying of unseen creatures add to the tension. The camera lingers on their anxious faces, highlighting the suspense of their journey. Suddenly, they come to a fork in the path. Tim hesitates, looking both ways. "Which way do we go?" he asks, his voice laced with uncertainty. Ninja steps forward, examining the ground. "This way," he decides, pointing to the left. "It looks like there are fewer footprints that way. Maybe it's less traveled." They follow Ninja's lead, the path growing narrower and darker with each step. The suspenseful music builds, creating a sense of impending danger. Just as they begin to relax, thinking they might be on the right path, a loud clanking noise echoes through the sink. They freeze, their eyes wide with fear. "What was that?" Alex whispers, her voice trembling. Jonesy grips his flashlight tighter. "I don't know, but I don't want to find out." Tim takes a deep breath, steeling himself. "We have to keep moving. Whatever it is, we can't let it stop us." They press on, their senses on high alert. The camera follows their every move, capturing the eerie atmosphere and the tension that hangs in the air. As they round a corner, they come face to face with a rusty old gate blocking their path. Tim's heart sinks. "Great, now what?" Ninja examines the gate, his mind racing. "There has to be a way to open it. Look for a lever or a switch." The camera pans out, showing the group as they search the tunnel walls, their flashlights casting long shadows. The suspenseful music reaches a crescendo, signaling the climax of their struggle. Finally, Alex finds a hidden lever behind a loose brick. She pulls it, and the gate creaks open, revealing another dark tunnel beyond. Tim smiles, relief washing over him. "Good job, Alex. Let's keep moving." The camera follows them as they step through the gate, the suspenseful music fading slightly, but still present, hinting at the challenges yet to come. They continue their journey through the eerie sewers, their determination unwavering. What new surprises await them in the depths of the sewer? Stay tuned for the next episode of Tim's Digestive Adventure. Suddenly they see a figure ahead, pointing towards a ladder leading to the city above. They climb the ladder, their hearts pounding with anticipation. But just as they reach the top, the ground gives way and they tumble into a hole. They land in a colorful, strange new world, the BFDI universe. Bewildered, they look around, realizing their adventure has only just begun.